Interesting. Let's see how that goes. There we go. It was the Macintosh. I wondered why we had audio. There we go. It was the Macintosh. I wondered why we had audio. There we go. Let me mute that thingy there. Hooray! I don't even know what the heck I did. I know I was running around like a lunatic, so I'm sorry if I did anything foolish, because holy cow. I have a lot of work to do. We leave on Friday for BGGCon. We're very excited about that. But I have so much work to do, and we filmed a long time yesterday, which is good, with Dave, and we needed to film. But and then I painted minis, prepared for the minis for today. You can see some of them. Well, let me cut back to that. Well, anyway, been working on a lot of stuff. We filmed one game for the third time, which is very sad, and hopefully that'll turn out okay. It should. We may show the other footage, like maybe have a little funny thing up our sleeves, but it's not fantastic, I'll tell you that, because we just had, the game is great, but we have like little weird things that go wrong, and we might have had some of that this last time. It's just crazy. But the hope is it turned out good, because we really like it. And I think we've played it on the stream. We had better luck when we played it on the stream. But it's one of those games that you really should play turn-based for the show, because if you don't, everybody works at the same time, and you end up mumbling and stuff. And we still did a little bit of that, and we had a mistake. We filmed it with 3 sets of people, so everybody's got a chance to play the game, which has been great. And then, yeah, BGGCon. We're leaving a little early for BGGCon because, number one, we always go a little bit early, but number two, the convention is early this year. It'll be starting on the 9th. Today's the 1st, so I guess that's Wednesday? Yeah, the 9th. So, is that right? Yeah, the 9th. So the 9th through the 13th, and then we'll be in Dallas for another day or two, and then back home in time for my birthday. Shockingly, I don't think I've had my true birthday at home in years, because BGGCon, sometimes it's maybe just before we leave, but I think truthfully it's almost always after we're in Dallas. Maybe when Thanksgiving's at the very end of the month. This year, because there's another event in Dallas at the hotel where we do our show, we are doing it early, and it's been great because Spiel turned out to be early, so all the games have been in Dallas for 3 weeks, I believe, or something like that, or close to that. And we already had one punch party for the games, and we have another punch party on Saturday, which Nikki and I will be there to do, which we're excited for, because mostly it's punching. We get to punch a few games, and then we get to play games and eat dinner, so it'll be fun. Or maybe a late lunch or whatever it is. I can't remember, but it'll be great. So I did paint minis. I'll switch to the down cam here. Let me see. I'm not really set up for all this stuff. So funny. I was like, what is the phone? My computer actually signed in, the Mac, without to this call without me doing it. So that it was saved, and I was like, what is doing the audio? Very bizarre. Anyway, so I painted, I primed a bunch of minis. I did what I'm going to work on today, which is, I don't even remember the name of this dinosaur. This is terrible. Ankylosaurus, I think that's correct. I need to actually look up what the coloring looks like. The picture that we have from the game looks pretty good, but let me zoom in a bit on it. It looks cool. It's clearly from Jurassic World, which I think we're in the game. In the game we just did Jurassic, or we just did the Lost World, I believe. So, Lost World. So that's Jurassic Park 2. But this is, remember, we pick one of the minis. There were, I think, 3 herbivores, and so this is the one we chose. But, so that's all going to get filed up. I also did a few of the Marvel United minis that I needed to prime. I'm not really, so I used a new airbrush. I mean, I have tons of airbrushes. I keep what I'm really doing is buying one. I saw, oh my goodness, what's his name? Barbaro Sam or something? Darn it, I wish I'd remembered. He did a video about this airbrush, which is a full kit. I don't have the kit in that garage, I don't think. But it's a cool airbrush. It has removable lid cap. I mean, most of my other ones do. The one that I have that is, it's not in here. Actually, the two of the ones I have, the original one that I had didn't have a cap, and then I believe the one from Harbor Freight didn't. This was $39 for a full airbrush. It's actually pretty great, and it works pretty darn well. The issue I have with it is when you take this all apart, you can't really clean the nozzle. I'm not sure you can see this, but for me to clean this all out completely, I would have to take this apart, which would mean pull the little nozzle off. And this is also very pokey. I stabbed myself twice trying to do where you blow back. If you put your finger over the nozzle, it will it'll bubble back into it, so you can clean out colors more quickly that way, because there's a lot of paint inside the body when you're changing colors. And so what I was doing is this tip, which I can change it. That is the one thing I would suggest. Just use this other tip that's a full-on cone. So I mean, it has an opening, but you can put your finger over the end of it, and it'll bubble back. Because I had to pull the needle back and press my finger against it to do that, and then it poked out and stabbed me just lightly twice. But it's Neo Echo is the brand, and it's pretty darn great. It gives, if you want to have a full-on kit, doesn't have the compressor, but it has the hose, a bunch of cleaning tools, 3 different nozzles, 2 more reservoirs. This is a gravity feed reservoir. You just pull this off, you screw this off and put the other one on. It says 2 larger ones, so if you're priming a lot of stuff, it's great. It has adjustments here to control how much tension the back has right here with this. You can adjust how far you want it to go back. This will restrict it so that it'll only go back a little bit, so that you're not sending out too much paint. Here's the thing. You can probably run solvent through it, because I saw the guy doing that type of stuff, but this has rubber gaskets, which is a mistake. I'm using it for priming, and that means I'm only using acrylic, and I just wanted to try it out. All the other accessories are great. They actually have the quick release thing on here, which is fantastic. What am I having? A problem? Oh, video glitching? Weird. Wonder if I need to reset something. Let me know, Derek. I saw like one glitch on the stream, and I thought it stopped when I did something else. Wow, it is really doing that. Let me just unplug and plug in on this one thingy over here. Exciting. That is the down camera. Who knows? Let's just do them both. Might even require a reboot of the boxes. That seems more stable. Cool. We'll see if it sticks. I had a weird issue. I think what happened was the boxes are on another circuit, and they weren't on when I turned everything on, and that maybe caused the glitch. Hopefully it's better. Cool. Thanks, Derek. So yeah, it's weird. I think it's the boxes. We have some converters that convert HDMI to SDI, and we use that so that we have we use a machine that actually has SDI inputs. All the like pro ones do that, and HDMI is not. And so I think there's synchronization, like probably HDCP connection issues when you do that. Yeah, that's what I get for racing. Anyway, so the airbrush is very nice, works really well, very smooth. It gives you, like I said, a quick release as well. But here's the deal. I think you get an airbrush very similar to this for if you're going to be starting out for $60 or $70 on Amazon. You can buy one that includes a compressor. And I think I saw another video on that. I mean, I'm talking about the compressor is a bottle basically on the bottom of this, about, you know, 6 inches long or something. I've never actually held one. And I want to buy one because I want to see how it works, because it is supposedly a pretty fantastic little compressor. You recharge it. I know that I've seen where they've caught on fire. So when you start charging them out, make sure you watch it being charged. But it looked really solid, like amazing. The funny thing was, I think I saw it on Ninjon's channel, and I'm sure of this. He was using his standard compressor that he's been using for years, and he tried the airbrush that he got with it, and it was spotty. And he's like, geez, this airbrush. Then he tried his not too cheap Iwata airbrush, and was exactly the same. So it turns out his compressor has problems. And so then he was using the little add-on compressor that's rechargeable, and it was great. Now, it would be weird to me using that with that bottle. It's got a battery in it, right? And all kinds of stuff to run the compressor. But I don't imagine it's too heavy. So I'm probably going to buy one and check it out just to see. I really like this one, but you do need a compressor. And if you're just starting out, that's probably the route to go. Anyway, read ingest. Lousy fat fingers. It's also autocorrect, I'm sure, Derek. Anyway, thank you so much for catching all that, Derek. So anyway, I primed that. I primed the Marvel United Minis, and we'll get to this one. I actually had a little bit of a trouble because I spilled paint on this because I forgot to put this lid back on, which I got to tell you, it's pretty fantastic. You know, you really want to keep it upright, but I'm used to the cup being much lower because I use a gravity suction feed. My old one, my other one has a suction feed. And I have plenty that have the gravity feed. I only use those generally for detail and stuff. They're more fine work. And you don't have to, again, this is a $40 airbrush. It's great. If you have a compressor that you can use, then you only need to buy this and maybe a regulator to make sure you have the right level of compression, unless it's a small compressor. And I actually have one large compressor, 2 medium compressors. Is that correct? 2 medium compressors? Yes. And then 1 small compressor. And I mean, the ability, I have a spray station right here behind me that I would like to use, and maybe I have 1 compressor that's pretty quiet, and then the little Iwata compressor I have is pretty quiet. But to have like a compressor that you can just have and you don't have to turn it on and off and you turn it on when you need it is a great idea. Anyway, the airbrushing went well. Other than spill, I spilled it right on here and then just rinsed it off and then let it dry and sprayed it back, redid the spray. Now you can see I use a mount to hold my models. They all have this little part where I didn't get it painted because of the rubber bands that hold it. Some people don't like that thing. I think it's fantastic because I can manage 5. You can see here there's a little bit of spill from the paint when I spilled it because I'm sure it dried a little bit. It was very quick though. I have a spray bottle. I have this bottle on hand that lets me spray right away, and I was able to do that pretty quickly and not have it be too bad because I was coming back to this mini, and it was very dry here in SoCal, so it is a little cooler now. I think we're finally getting into fall, and hopefully. But anyway, so I got to touch this up before I paint the whole of the body. Actually, you know what? I probably want to get my gray primer. I'll be right back. I did not bring that in here. Hey, Michael. But yeah, I have like small bottles of the primer. I had to change so I purchased a bunch of these dropper bottles. I think I got them from China. They took forever. I would recommend trying to order them from Amazon. I don't think I could find them on there, but I might not have been doing the proper search terms. but the nozzles, if you over tighten them, we'll see how this looks because I'm actually opening them up and see. If you over tighten them, it causes the eyedropper part to split. And the white one was actually, that was I think actually where I screwed up. The white one was shooting all over the place. And so I was trying to get it, you know, like multiple forking, you know, or whatever. We'll go into that later. And it was all over. So I swapped them out. Yeah, see, that's not too bad as far as leakage laying on its side and everything. So hopefully that does it. So I'm not over tightening. I'm the king of over tightening, I will tell you that. So hopefully I think that I've solved that problem and only destroyed 2 nozzles. Because the black one was fine. For whatever reason, the black one wasn't split. At least as far as I could tell. So let's get started here. I actually want to get the picture. So Jurassic World, just to see the coloring. So I also continued on the Warhammer Quest Lost Relics that we're going to probably shoot an actual game night for. I worked on these this last weekend, I think, and got a little bit further on them. This one is not as far along. I did try to do something with the lantern and make it sort of bright, but I think I need to put white in there, and I think that's fine. It looks kind of cool. I also worked on this guy's like tabard here, or whatever heck's going on. It looks like a skirt because it goes all the way around. I worked on that. I also applied a super ultra matte medium, and then I painted the little... I'm not great at freehand, but I spent some time doing the freehand on this, and it looks pretty good. I did not go for any more white, because it's white underneath. If you look at this mini that I painted previously, that is one of the ones that's in this set, right here, I did go for the white. Now, this was a more traditional paint job. As you can see, the cape is, you know, I tried to blend it and get the shading. This is literally just using the contrast paints. I fixed... So one of the things that happens with contrast paints is you get pooling, and they call it coffee stains. So what I did is I just go back when it's done, and boy, there's things buzzing all around me. I think everybody's on Slack talking right now, as usual. So when it has that pooling, I just come back in with, you can see a tiny, let's zoom in, you can see it. This is not going to be a problem, right? This is not a mini that's going to be in a competition, but you can see a little bit of the pooling there. But I just went back in with the blue and a diluted amount of the color. I used the contrast medium to dilute it. This one was okay. I probably could do a little bit more to fix it. This one turned out amazing because there was a big pool here, there was a big pool over here, and you can't really see them. They're in darker folds and everything. The matte medium is really, really cool. The Ultra Matte, this is an AK Interactive. It makes it look more like fabric for me, at least in real life here when you see it. But I'm pretty sure, the only thing I want to do on this one a little bit more is I need a brighter silver. The brightest silver I have, which is supposedly silver, is this. And it says silver, but it looks a little gunmetal-y to me. There's some darkness to it up in here. So I need to buy, because I have chainmail, which I would think chainmail's good, but it's not. It's also dark. I think I need mithril. I mean, what I used to buy was mithril silver. That was something that Games Workshop made. I have not bought another one. I might have some in this giant set that I got that I should just check. It might be okay. It's not the greatest. They're decent paints, but I like my metallics to flow pretty smoothly, and so maybe if I put in a flow improver and stuff like that, it'll help. But I do need to work a little bit more. I need a brighter gold, which I don't have. And I need a little bit better silver to like kind of finish this guy off. And then this lady here, I think it's a lady anyway. Let's see, what's her breastplate look like? It looks more like maybe a lady. It's, you know, I haven't really gone in and done any of it yet. I did a little bit of brightness, but mostly I was just getting all the color on it. I do need to paint the little bits of detail, the freehand stuff here of these symbols. I did not do them on this one. There's like one bit, I think right here on this fold that has it. So I will try to do it, even on this one, because it's not done really either. And I may just use that one for when we play the game. But I might continue with this one. We'll see. But at least he's got his other finger. He's not giving us the finger. I cannot believe it either. I had gotten that finger fixed so well. I like carved a little finger out of plastic, glued it on there, and then I ended up breaking it off again. So, and couldn't find it. I suppose I could do that again. But it's different. I went for that crackling paint for the terrain, which is cool. I don't know what I'll do. It's one of the great things about these modern game ones that they do in their games is that they have these fully detailed bases. And this is turning out pretty good. This is just one of the basilicanum gray washes thinned down, and then I just used the strong tone, couple coats of, I think one or two coats of strong tone on like the dirt, foliage, or whatever there. I'll probably do a little bit more and then maybe dry brush it. But I love them because they look just great. They do really, really nice bases. They also sell bases that have completed details on them, which you could purchase. This one here looks like it's going to have some cool stuff too, so when I get to it. But yeah, it depends on when we film if I actually paint the fourth one. I also have to paint the bird, so I'm excited about that actually. It has kind of white and blue, so we'll see how that goes. I think that's that. So let's get to the Jurassic World Mini here. So these primers are already pretty well thinned. And I don't really need to actually thin them down anymore or put them in the wet palette. So I'll put a little bit on here. Oh wait, I was going to put Ankylosaurus. Hey, I'm spelling it right. Jurassic. But this is our final mini. I'm going to probably continue to paint them. Wow, why is it not showing images? I'm going to probably continue painting them. Oh wow, I don't know what I clicked through on there. I know it's a Jurassic Park wiki. And we're going to I'm dying to actually play level 6, which we will not be doing on the show. Because I guess it's a big spoiler. And so we don't want to, wow, that is awesome. That's an animated image. Probably from the video game or something like that. Let's see if it goes. Anyway, but yeah, I want to see what happens because there's a big deal on it. Now, the interesting thing is it looks like this dinosaur, I don't remember the movie very clearly, but it looks like this dinosaur is protecting this thing, maybe? I don't know. That is not going to load. Anyway, I'll find something here. So that's kind of cool looking. I don't know that I'm going to able to. So here you can see it's animated. I can't actually load the this is just zoomed in on a low resolution image, but for coloring that'll probably work. Since I'm painting a similar is this going to have feathers, Michael? Let me look here. I don't know if I can, maybe I can look at it in here. I don't want to, I have a phone that I use up here that lets me see the chat. Coloring it should be fine. It got some major bone spurs there or something, so that'll be cool. Not bone spurs, but bone spikes. Not that app. I need Twitch. I have to have things up on so many devices. This is crazy. Okay, let's see what Michael has here. I know he wants, well, this isn't necessarily, this was a scaled dinosaur, so I don't know. I'm not going to see the chat. Boo. I guess I'll click through. What the heck? Let's see. No, it's the, oh, mummy discovery. Okay, cool. I'm going to go see it. Here I go. Hope I don't get out of the chat. I believe they found one of the best preserved dinosaurs ever. Wow. Ooh, that does kind of look like it, too. Huh. Awesome. Thanks, Michael. Interesting. I need to find more images of that. Neato. Okay, let's go back to Twitch. Let's go back to. Oh, hey, I'm back in there. Twitch. Oh, hey, I'm back in there. Pause, please. Pause, please. Nope. That's why I shouldn't have gone away. Nope. Hold on, let me do this again. Darn it. Wow. Won't let me leave the program or the app. Try it one more time. Everybody's chatting on Slack. No, it's trying to get me to, I'm going to try to leave. I'm actually signed in as BGG. Wow, okay. That's weird. I thought I was signed in as me. Hey, sweet, it's frozen. Okay, it's paused. Cool, cool. So let's get to this. I'm going to use this paint straight to just touch this edge up, and then maybe a little bit of white to lighten it up, because it's pretty dark though. I found a lot of brushes that I had put aside, and I was thinking I was burning through them quicker than I actually am. So let's see how this is. So I just want to touch this up. Hey, it's not even going on there. The other thing about the, I will say about that holder is it seems to, wow, this is too thin. Did I not shake it enough? Maybe I didn't. It seems to like leave a residue, maybe like a rubber residue or something like that, or latex residue, that I can't kind of clean off, or maybe it's polishing it or something, I don't know. But it's very difficult to paint these on the edge afterwards. In the recent Jurassic ones I painted, I actually did them just holding them by hand. And then holding them by hand and you know, avoiding doing this kind of stuff. But this has the brown on it, which maybe I'll paint later. I'm intrigued how, like, what I'm going to do for the sphere, because you know it's in the movie it was clear. So I painted it bright so that I can actually do, you know, just a blue effect on it maybe, and hopefully it'll work out. Ah, falling on myself. Don't want to get on my shirt. But yeah, I got a lot of, wow. Wish I could mute that. I don't think there's going to be too much of a hassle to paint, because it's really not a lot of, and it's funny too because it's pretty big, right? That sphere it holds 2 people, right? I mean, dinosaurs are big. Okay, so this is going to be a reddish brown, which maybe, I actually don't have the other minis out here. But that may be the one brown I've been using, and maybe I'll go for, I think I kind of use that on, let me go grab them, on the Carnotaurus. Let me go get that. We packed so much stuff in because we were playing the game. We were filming yesterday, so everything's put away. I really need to turn off notifications. So I guess I might have used it on the Triceratops as well, the brown. That's the only downer. I think I've mentioned it before here, that they, the colors, you know, it's as silly as it is. When you do the toy dinosaurs, they have just usually, I mean, the old ones used to have like a single color, sort of like these do. And in these, they're doing red for the carnosaurs, and green for the herbivores. So yeah, I think I used that brown on this one. It looks pretty good. Let's zoom out a wee bit. And then I use something else for the raptors and the T-Rex. But I do think this looks like it's a little bit browner. Wow, I really love this animation. It's really cool. So these are probably similar colors. So yeah, they kind of blend in. This is a completely different thing here. But yeah, here's the Triceratops. Blurry. So let's see. This is probably dry. Oh, hey, I need the glasses. I need to have glasses that let me see up close. I can actually read, no problem, but when you want to get the minis really close to your face, I have to have readers. Magnifying. I mean, I could put a magnifying thing on. Maybe if I ever really start to get super crazy about the detail. So I think I'm going to go with him first. Now, it looks like this is grass, that it's walking through grass. Maybe I'll dry brush that a little bit. So you can see that paint dries pretty quick. But I do want to get it on pretty solidly. I'm not plugged in to hear anything. I'm like, why am I not hearing anything? Here we go. I have a stool type chair here, so it's taller than normal. So it's difficult to reach the ground. A little too tall. But I do like the little workstation we have set up here for this. Got a little bit of green under there too. So I think I dry brushed the others before it's on focus. After. So here's the first one I did, which I like the base, but it's sort of the same tone. I actually ended up putting a little bit more of the strong tone, which was sitting right here. Where is it at? Here's one. The strong tone to give it a little bit more variation. And then the second one I painted was, maybe the T-Rex? And it had a similar issue. I mean, it looks great. Probably what I should do is go back in and dry brush afterwards to make those details pop out. Because what I did here, this is the fifth one I painted. This one I actually, yeah, I think this is the fifth one I painted. This one I dry brushed the whole thing. So instead of actually priming, I primed it black, solid black, and then went in with one of these makeup brushes that are very big, but very soft and cheap. They're like $4. This is a e.l.f. Ultimate Blending. And I dry brushed it to give it all the highlights. And ultimately, I think it's great for this one because, first of all, it's very scaly, more scaly than any of the other dinosaurs in the first four that you do. And it made it look like, this looks like the Japanese wave print, you know? And I think it made the scales look great. But it made it, I couldn't get the white in here as deeply, but it really looks cool and strong when you do the inking and stuff on top of that. So I think it looks great. And I just wanted, they don't all have to match. This is the one I did after that and has the same kind of thing going on. But I love it. I think that and you know, this is different. This is a actual, the herbivore one. You don't see dinosaur bones underneath here. It's got an interesting detail there for its, oh, that's right, I'm going to have to paint white in there. Maybe I'll do that too right now. But yeah, each one of the symbols has a different, for the dinosaur has a different glyph, I guess, of it for it, which is part of the dinosaur skeleton, I guess. Makes it more like what I think the thing is doing is, looks like a dinosaur exhibit or something. at the Jurassic World Visitor Center. Should use my mixer. I did not get the time to organize my desk like I had hoped. But you can tell this paint is lasting a while here. You can tell it's cooler here and not quite as dry as it's been, because usually everything dries instantaneously. Man, everything is buzzing left and right here. Okay, well, this is playing again video. I don't want that. Okay. So I'm going to put a little bit of white, and then I'll probably try dry brushing it. Let's paint the detail of the symbol. And then it'll all paint. The red will go better, because I'm using a contrast red for that is very thin, or relatively thin. And it will be a stronger red if I prime it. I'm not using and I probably should, the Monument Hobbies white, because it'll go on smoother, but this is very thin, so it'll dry fast. I'm excited to go to Dallas, though. The plan is we are going to go to a pinball store, I think, to see the new Guns N' Roses pinball machine. When Scott was telling me about it, I'm like, well, I played that machine. It wasn't that great, but and it's a cool machine, the old one. It is the old one from '94. So it is another Guns N' Roses pinball machine made by maybe Jersey Jack, which is kind of interesting. I mean, they do lots of licensed stuff. They did the Willy Wonka one, which Nikki really liked that one. And what else? They've done a bunch. But anyway, so we're going to go see that, which is exciting because I would like to go there. There's also in Dallas maybe we'll do the same thing that day, because it's actually closer to where Scott lives now. The Cidercade, which is a cider bar place that you can get drinks, but it also has tons of arcade games. So lots of pinball machines, at least 25, and an amazing amount of arcade games, like the one that I was most excited about, which I know it's probably not a great game, but is the Fix-It Felix game from Wreck-It Ralph. They actually had one there. And I don't know what the story is on those. I know that they made them to promote the movie when it came out. And I need a little fan or a dryer. I saw that Adam Smasher has a little teeny desktop heater that he uses to cool to dry minis. I don't generally have a problem here in Southern California waiting for things to dry, because they dry pretty quickly. But it's still pretty wet there. So let's see about dry brushing. I probably should use the standard paint for that, to just dry brush a little bit of brightness on this before I ink it on the freeze here on the edge. Yeah, I've thought about it, but I don't really want another piece of stuff on the desk here. I need to figure out a little bit of stuff, because I have a lot of things here. I also have minis on here that I don't really need right now. Obviously, I have all these Marvel United that don't need to be on here. As a matter of fact, let me see if I can just put them on the tray of Marvel United minis, because it is really taking up space. Oh shoot, I forgot to mention, I wanted to do a little bit more bright primer on Nick Fury. I need to do that, because I don't think the white I did as good a job on the white on that. But now I have 7 minis or 8 primed for that. I still have to finish Falcon. I'm in the state where I have too many things started, which is cool, but it's kind of a pain in the butt. It also, what's good about having multiple things going for me anyway, is if I get tired of painting something, like I was saying the other day, I'm painting Stormcast Eternals, which there's nothing wrong with them. They're amazing minis, but I just painted them a lot, so I would like to do some other things. Almost dry. Hey, the camera went out. Do we lose the down cam? No. Oh, you know, it's not plugged in. There you go. The batteries on these are not very strong. But at least it's not killing the video feed for the down cam. Or is it? It might kill the feed. Is it going to be another glitch? Hello, camera. Did I lose the camera then too? Sure did. That's what I get when all that goes off. Yeah, you need to, so the little display that I'm using actually has like Canon batteries, and the Canon batteries don't really last too long. So is that working? Yeah, it's working. Hooray! Cool. Okay. So that looks pretty dry. I got the paint mixed up pretty good here. I do like the vortex mixer. It's very helpful. Really the smallest amount I can get. Oh wow, this seems like it's clogged up again. Yeah, I don't really love these bottle tops. I think these are the ones that Chad really likes, and I don't feel they're great. So let me get the dry. I'm going to use a smaller dry brush because I'm going to try to just get it in that spot. Okay. Here we go. I wish I actually had a darker towel to see what the paint coming off with the white. It's the one thing that you can't tell. Wow. I don't know that you can see this, but it's just pigment now. Like the moisture is pulled out of it. I don't know. White is terrible. It's such a chalky pigment. But it's working okay here. It's not over applying it. So the game is now available. It actually is in retail on the 28th. I actually had one of the folks that is helping us do these streams let me know, which is great. I think people are finally getting their hands. I tweeted about this today, but didn't say anything about what I was painting because people were getting upset that I was spoiling the game. I spoiled 2 minis, you know. We've spoiled them on the stream, which, you know, we let people know. I don't know if we let people know the first times, but we let people know now that we are spoiling the game. Although I think it really depends. It all comes together differently for each group, right? You do things differently. Like we are making decisions on where to put things that could be not the best choices for sure. I think we've already made a few poor choices. That's why I'm eager to see what happens if we continue. So Nikki and I will do it. Candace was asking, like, what game can we do a legacy thing to do on the stream again? So maybe we'll figure something else out to do. I mean, I know what many people would like us to do is actually continue with Clank Legacy, which we never, you know, that was going to be the goal. We had been streaming with Deborah and Dave, and we were very excited to continue with that, and the pandemic hit. So literally the first day was going to be the Thursday after lockdown started here in Los Angeles in March of 2020, So maybe we'll do that. We'll get to that. That'd be fun. Although I think Candace has actually done it. I think she played that with her neighbors during the pandemic, which is awesome. We did not. We should have. We should have bubbled. I didn't. You know, we didn't know what we were doing. But had we set up a bubble, now Dave went up and took care of his parents, which is good because you know they're older folks. Dave lost his dad though a couple weeks back, which is a real bummer. But his mom's still hanging in there, and he's still, you know, like they're going to go to a wedding, and he's going to help her locally, which is cool because the wedding's down here. So these are this is grass. I feel like this is a light color. Oh, you know, I probably should dry brush that too, because it's not very strong underneath there. So I cleaned the brush probably too soon. Maybe I can dry it out. But boy, is it chalky. Like you can see the pigment flying around. Gotta be good for you, right? Let's see how wet this is. Not wet, so maybe I can use it. Well, there's a little dampness there. I'm using a bunch of napkins because we are we're getting almost out of towels. So I told Nikki we need to go. During the pandemic, of course, we were you know, I was crazy about like what we need to have paper towels and things like that. And Nikki is resistant to any time I say, "Do we need paper towels?" Now because and toilet paper. But I told her the other day, I'm like, "We need it now." So we're gonna let that dry. It'll take a few, but that we can do the dinosaur body now. And then this one, I think I'm going to use. It's got a little bit of green. I do not know what this is from. It's interesting though. They have like a 3D thing, and it's totally cool. This rendering. I'm gonna go with. I mean, there's other ones that it's like it's green, greenish, brownish. This is probably from the movie. That looks good though. It's not a good. Well, maybe I click through. Let me see if I can open another tab. Yeah. Wow. Okay, it's not any better. Although it's okay. Do we see inside the mouth of her mouth? Yeah, a little bit. So I might try to do a little bit of that. I think the brown would be more exciting. Although I don't know. I mean, I've got so much brown dinosaur stuff going on here. Anyway, let's get it going. I'm going to use the wet palette for that. I'll put this over on the base stand. And then plug it in so it doesn't run out of juice. Ugh. I actually have quite a bit of room on this desk, but there's just... I also have the 3D printing stuff that I've got going on. And I need to do a little bit more of that. I think I need to dry brush a tiny bit underneath here. Just so it looks a little bit. Okay, dinosaur colorings. The legs look green. Let's go with a little bit of a green for that. Greenish brown. I like to use this. Is this wet still? Yep. I like to use this plague bearer flesh as part of the green for these things that I use. It is the color that I used on when I didn't have a military type green. I used on the Red Skull's cloak or jacket, and it was great. And I think I want to have like two pools of this green for some greenish tint highlights or something like that. A lot of bubbles, so that's not great, but it's because I just mixed another thing. And then I need the brown. The Gorgrunta fur, I think, is what we'll use. Now I want the dinosaur to move like this. Well, we can do that if we get Star Wars. .3D hologram gaming, that would be awesome. Okay, this is probably mostly done. Oh wait, I want to do a little bit more white before it all dries up here. I just dumped it in that. On this before we get in there. So, wet that a little bit, and it probably will be enough white to make that red look strong. Goodness gracious, I need the wet palette. I need to put water in the wet palette though. More water. I think I'm putting a little too much water in that palette. Okay, yeah, that's definitely not white enough. So that's the, like that, the red that I'm using is a single, it really looks like it's a single pigment paint, which is very cool if you want to mix colors. So it's a very strong red, but it, I really should be using a mini holder here. And since this is dry, I can do that. I think this could be closed because I got the color on the palette. Make sure. I do like using mini holders. They definitely, first of all, you don't get your oils from your hands on them, mini, which is very important for paint to stick. Wow, it's not showing up here. Well, somebody's following us. This is terrible. It should be showing this. It was on there before. I wonder if we dropped it doing something here. But let me look and see on Bill Geddes. I want to tell you who that is. At least be here so I can actually look it up. Let's go to our dashboard. I can peek over here when it happens. Hey, thanks Blue Mushroom 123. Thank you. I don't know why it's not showing up. We actually have Stream Element stuff that show up and it's not working. But I can see who it is from that. Thank you so much for following. I'm painting the minis from the unlocked mini from Jurassic World: The Legacy of Isla Nublar that just came out in retail last week. We're going to add this mini to the game. It's another herbivore. So what it ends up becoming in the game is bait for the other dinosaurs, sort of. It's a little too thick. I think the paint is drying. Has a lot of, and that's the other thing. I shouldn't judge how quickly it's drying on the primers because the primers are thinned down pretty good. I don't have to thin them at all. At least I don't. But anyway, yeah. So we'll play with this game, dinosaur on Thursday at 5:30 Pacific PDT. I think next week is the time change, so we'll be on PST following this. But we'll be doing the Adventure 5, which we've been playing. We have they're up on YouTube. But we have adventures 1 through 4 that we've done. 4 is on Twitch. It'll be on YouTube today or tomorrow. And then we'll do 5. It's been fun. I really actually enjoy it a lot. Okay, so that's pretty white. It'll probably be decent for the red. And then I got to paint black on it. So we have this. I think what I was gonna do the dinosaur. I've got the colors down. So let's get started. We're gonna do some greenish color with the brown on his flesh, his legs. So I'm just gonna do that one color that I have, and then maybe do the brown over that. I think this is kind of the color I used on the Brachiosaurus. So you can see this is I'm putting a pretty transparent paint on, and it's letting the shading that I've created through this zenithal highlighted paint job, the stuff show, and it's pretty great. You don't have to. I painted this with a pretty inexpensive airbrush. It was a $40 airbrush that I got from Amazon that I got last week. And I think it's a good airbrush. I mean, it is a good airbrush for the most part. The one thing somebody had asked earlier that you can't do solvent potentially, and that is probably correct, because although I've seen alcohol through it, which isn't a problem. I mean, alcohol can break down stuff too, but I've seen alcohol go through it. But the problem is it has rubber gaskets. Most of the stuff, like my airbrush, most of my other airbrushes have Teflon bearings and stuff like that to help, you know, stop the airflow so that you got a smooth, there's no bubbles and stuff like that when you're spraying, so things are smooth. And those are great. I mean, I have an airbrush that I've used for 30-something years, since I was a kid. My mom and dad gave it to me. And that has mostly the same Teflon bearings in it. I think I've had to replace a few of the ones that come out when you use it, and it, you know, when you take it apart to clean it, but mostly they don't, they're like, there's a needle bearing that's inside the body of the airbrush that has never been replaced. Now, I haven't used it a million times, but I've used it a lot over the years. Used it all through high school and college. I think I got it when I was in grade school. I mean, I don't know, grade school. What we had in my neighborhood, my area, was called middle school. And that was fine. It worked great, got used to it. I had gone through at least 1 or 2 compressors. Also tried, when I was in college, using a cylinder of carbon dioxide, CO2. I was going to say carbon monoxide, that can't be correct. And it was great. It was super smooth. The problem was just refilling that thing. Because, you know, it was very quiet. I loved it. But it was just not, you know, it was the recommendation of others. I still have the cylinder. As I was saying earlier, there's an airbrush that you can get for like $59 or $69 that is probably what anybody starting to airbrush should get. Because, you know, you first of all need to know that you're going to enjoy doing it. So I would say if you get this airbrush, this airbrush compressor, it's got a little cylinder about 6 inches long, maybe, that you recharge, and it is a supposedly a pretty decent compressor that you should check out if you're going to try to get in. And the thing is I feel that will always be useful to you, because I want one just to have for in here in the studio. I actually have a spray booth that I would like to use more, and you know, just like quickly do things instead of, because when I do the priming and things like that, I have to plan. I don't have to plan, but I have to get it together because I do several things at once, and you kind of just, it would be nice to be able to improvise it. So here I'm kind of mottling the brown on it, on the legs. And I'm using a thin down brown that I have, which I used with, it's got a little bit of the green, which is this plague bearer flesh contrast paint from GW, and then this Gorgruntifer, which is a redder color brown than I have. Some of them are dark, much darker. But then I'm hoping to transition between these two, and then go a little bit of brown here, which I'll thin out to like apply. If you use the contrast medium, it means you can layer it on a little bit more carefully instead of like overdoing it. So I have to do that. I've been painting the nails on the things, but they're kind of like lighter, I think. So I have this brown. I'll just continue with it here to do around the spines here. And it's thin, so it probably is a little too thin. But like I said, you can layer it on. And you know, the dinosaurs are definitely kind of you know, all different shades and stuff. Their scales and stuff make it so it's not like it has to be super precise. Any advice on a good starter painting kit? So I think I'm using here on this stuff the GW things. I really, if you're a beginning painter, I think you should try this method. As I said earlier, this was a dry brushed mini where I painted it entirely black by hand. Then I dry brushed with these $4 brushes from $4.50 maybe from Amazon, these makeup brushes. And I use that and the smaller one. They're both from e.l.f. This is the contour brush, and this is the ultimate blending brush. I dry brush the white on it to give it the shading so that you have light coming from above, right? The light is coming down from the top. So you paint it all black, then dry brush it to try to look like it's brighter on the top and lighter under and darker underneath. These are all airbrushed, as you can see here with this one is. So it's got a lot of bright on the top, and then it's darker underneath. I did come in and dry brush this to make it the grass, because I'm going to do it a light brown. But you want to, the reason why I think this method's great, especially to get started, these paints are not cheap. These are actually as low as $6.90 or something like that. That's not cheap, but they last a long time, and they do a great job. There's also other colors from Army Painter that are around $4 something a bottle for more paint, so they're this size a bottle. Not necessarily more paint than these, because this is 18 and this is milliliters. And this one is, oh, they're both 18. So these are exactly the same size for about, because these go up to $7.90, I believe. I actually have one here that's got the price on it. And I think they're still $7.90. They're not inexpensive, but the contrast paints last a long time. There's a bigger range of colors now from Citadel. They just introduced another 26. But I would start with these. This method is, you know, I'm sort of doing that. I just did these minis here where I painted the blue with the contrast. One of the new contrast blues, this one here. I don't know if it's that one or not. I don't think so. I think it's still out over here. Yes, it's this one here. I colored it. So I did the shading with the, you can see one here that's airbrushed similarly. See how you see dark spots and stuff, you know, to represent the light, right? And then you, then I just paint this on. It's just a single, pretty thick coat, and then it settles into the folds and stuff like that to make it look like sun on it, right? Or light coming down from above. And that's it. This literally took me about 5 minutes to paint the blue, maybe less. And then I came back and fixed a thing which is called coffee staining by thinning this out a little bit with the contrast medium, which actually they give you a little bit more contrast medium than they give you the paint. And that lets you, and I just blended it so that that coffee stain went away. And I mean, to me, this looks table ready, and it's pretty quick. The gold is not a contrast paint. That is a Retributor Armor is what it's called. It's right here. I actually put it in one of the dropper bottles. Retributor Armor. I don't know if I love the dropper bottles. So there's pluses and minuses to the GW lid. The way these work is you open them up and they pop out. You know, you have this out, and then you have some paint sitting on this little lid. It's okay. The problem is you can see here lots of paint dries in here, and it starts to. Again, this is wet paint. It just generally isn't that big of a problem. But other paints dry up that they have, the standard paints. My silver paint, I have to go back into it every so often and put some airbrush thinner, paint thinner, acrylic thinner into it to like just keep it flowing well. But I did the gold, and then I put a similar technique where I use this wash. Wow, that was a weird audio thing. I put this wash on here to give it the shading, and then I'll come back afterwards. I did a little bit on this one. I just don't have a bright enough silver, and I put some of the straight gold back on top of it because I basically covered the whole thing and put it on wet and let it dry. And then I came back with a little bit of gold to brighten it up, and then a little bit of silver. I actually want a little bit brighter gold, which I don't have. And then brighter gold, and then a brighter silver, and I'll work on that. But I mean, this leather handle thingy here is one coat of one of the browns that I have from the contrast paints, and it looks pretty good. And then you can go in and highlight things a little bit more if you want as you get better. And then, you know, then you can move on to standard paints. Like I did paint this with a gray, but then I came back in with with the Basilicon gray, but then I came back in with some standard white paint to paint those little ridges there on his, as I said, it looks kind of like a skirt. Maybe it's his jacket, I don't know, but I don't know anything about knights and armor, so but yeah, it really comes out great, and I think it's a quick method, and it gets you started, and it gets your minis to the table, so it's a great way to go. And you know, Games Workshop's stuff is good but expensive, but you can also try the speed paints from Army Painter, and they're great too. I have one bottle. It's not even in here. I need to get more. I was actually going to get more. We don't have them at the store locally, so a friend was going to get me some, but they weren't unable to get them to me, so sometime soon I'll get them. Maybe just because when I was trying to get them, they were only online basically, and in giant sets, and I ended up buying one when I was buying some games, so I threw one in to just check it out. And it's good stuff. It's got a little bit more of a shine to it, but at least in the one that I've used. And I actually just got it like a week or two ago with some games that I ordered. Wow, you know what? I have another order from Miniature Market that's still not here. I don't know what's going on with them. I know they're moving warehouses, but goodness, it's too long. It doesn't look like they'll show up while I'm home, unfortunately. I don't like to order when I'm going to be away. I think I ordered these things at least 3 weeks ago, probably a little bit more, maybe 3 weeks ago. It was when I returned home, so it's at least 3 weeks after Spiel. Okay, back to the dinosaur. So I did that. should have been. Well, we'll make it wet now. So I'm going to thin out the brown. Well, no, we'll thin out the brown. No green, at least right now. But yeah, you kind of want to work with wet edges in any painting you do. Yeah, see, this is just too brown. But, so what I'll do here quickly is get this wildwood, which is a great dark brown, and mix that together with this. It's okay, right? This is not going to stay wet for too long, at least here in Southern California. But I can apply, again, it's a thin down brown, so it's not going to be, I can ramp it up its intensity with the contrast, because I use the contrast medium. Let's get some of that on here. cool. There's that color. So I'm going to mix these two a little bit together. It's a much darker brown. That I want to build up. But you can see how this is just settling in. Now this is a very dark color straight when you use it just raw. And I almost always thin almost all colors down a little bit. I did not thin down the blue that I used on the capes of the Stormcast Eternals. But you can see there's a lot of light coming through on this still, so I can increase how dark I want it to be by just adding more of the color as I go along here. So I'm actually just blending on the Mini. I have the darker brown on the top part there. I do like the I do like how that comes out though. It's pretty neato. And this is very scaly, which is, I almost feel like I probably should have done what I did with the Spinosaurus, which was dry brush it, just so that it would be even more intense. But I think building it up will be okay. So I'm trying to get in here where it's around the corner into, you can't see it, into where the sphere that they ride around in. I have not seen that movie a lot. I do not know what's going on right here. It looks like it may be a piece of broken, I don't know, or vegetation, so we'll see what I do there. But you can see this is a very quick method. Now these are very organic. If you're going to paint, like, so you saw I did the Stormcast Eternals, the capes look pretty good. That's a very large surface. It's difficult to do, but I feel with just a little bit of kind of massaging, you can make it work, and it doesn't have to be as extreme as these colors end up being. You know, like they end up having pooling. I mean, for example, this is a Mini I painted here that is very organic. This is the wildwood. But I mean, most everything is painted with 1 or 2 coats of the color. I actually was wet blending these little you know, I have the brown to that plague bearer flesh that I really like, and then to another blue, I believe. Actually, it might have been just this blue mixed in with that plague bearer flesh, because I didn't have many colors. I just winged it when I bought them, and it looks great. I did do a little bit of wet blending with what is it called? Apothecary white. And then I actually used some white to do these little crosses in it. But I mean, that's a wet blend there. And this was done in an hour or so, very, very quickly. I did use this was not Zenithal highlighted. This was done with a can of the GW primer. I've heard the one that I have here is the same. I don't believe it's the same. I think it's a whiter color. Because the one I used before was gray sear, I believe, and it is more gray. But you know, this was just washes basically with the contrast paints on it. I thinned out a little bit on the horns. Actually, I kind of want to go back and do a little bit more so you see these little creases in this. You definitely need to like clean the minis a little bit. I'm usually pretty good about that, and I know with GW stuff you have to do it, but I did not. So I'm putting a little bit of that green on here on the edge. And then I do things like I'll come in and I'll spot, treat, little effects. Now this is very, very detailed, right? I mean, you know, for a mini, all the scales are pretty strong, so I don't necessarily need to do too much on it, but I will probably do a little bit of mottling to give it, you know, doing little dots to give it some more variation of texture, of color on the texture. But you can see it's drying very pale, so I will probably So that is probably a spine. It is a spine, so I probably should have left it a little lighter. I'll go back and put some on. Now I'm going to put a little bit of the darker on just at least the top part here that is not diluted. But I want to, even though, I mean, I don't know what the rationale is. I want it to be a little bit darker on the very top. I mean, that's mostly what they show. Now there's a bunch of spines on this, so I'll probably come back with a little bit of light color on them to do the, you know, a little white to put the, like a bone color or something on it, like I'm going to do on the body here. I mean, on these spines. So I should have cleaned these up a little bit. I'm just putting a little bit of darkness in between them. But yeah, I mean, any paint, Army Painter makes great paints. P3 has good paints. That's Privateer Press. I use their paints. I feel that Monument Hobbies, if you're going to just go for a standard paint, I think Monument Hobbies, which has a lot of paint, this is 22 milliliters. Well, 22 is not that much more than 18. 22 milliliters, and I think this stuff is really good. Their white is great. I have a few of their colors now. I have all of their, most of their transparent colors, which is a different kind of paint, not like a contrast paint, but kind of. It's probably more like a primary color contrast paint. But I've used it. I love the yellow. I've actually used it. I actually should use it on this lantern I was showing earlier. See if that would change it. But I like the lantern. It's kind of the opposite of what they did it as. I'm thinking of it as being brighter. I'm not really sure what the heck, what it actually is, like physically how it would work. But yeah, I was doing the shading. I did a bunch of the contrast color on it and then layered it on. So I've done on the other dinosaur mouse some purple and pink inside for the tongues because I looked at like pictures of lizard tongues. This one's so tiny I'm not going to bother with it, but it's kind of a bummer. So that looks okay. I'll let it dry. It looks good. I'll let it dry a little bit and then I'll put some more on. But I will now paint the spines. They've already kind of got a little bit of color going on because I've put some of the color in between and it's got on them, but that's perfectly fine. I will use Skeleton Horde color. It's another GW color. Let me see what else I've got. They sent me a bunch of colors to do for this Warhammer Quest. They actually sent me 3 games, and we're going to do Warhammer Quest under Lost Relics. And they sent me a bunch of colors, but I don't think they sent many browns this time. This is Rattling Grime. That looks dark. Garagaxor. I think the one I got here is probably the one. And it's a great color, the Skeleton Horde. I just don't know that... Because, you know, they are kind of bony, the spines. I also need to paint white on the little toenails. Okay. Although, you know, just because it's an herbivore doesn't mean that the Ankylosaurus didn't play with this ball. Hey, notice I got blue all over that. I mean, brown all over that. I got to paint that white. So I'm definitely thinning this down. I don't want to put it on directly the intensity that it is. I'm hoping to play. I hope it'll be fun, Meeple Pete. I mean, I like Warhammer Quest, so I haven't played it very much, but and I have a lot of it. I own a lot of Warhammer Quest stuff that I just, you know, I bought them because I love the minis, and I love, you know, I enjoy their games for sure. So I think it'll be fun, and it's not a very, you know, it's going to be kind of introductory for everybody involved except for me, because it'll probably be, you know, somebody like Dave or Aaron and Nikki when we do it. It does do 4 players, so we're hoping that'll be fun. I don't know if this is thin enough. I'll just ramp it up. Actually, I kind of think it needs to be a little darker. I don't know that I need to go, well, I probably will. Go back and lighten these spines on the back side. I mean, you really don't have to do anything. You do what you want on them. I do like to go a little bit overboard, even though I'm trying to really get everybody to just start painting their stuff. It's not that hard to do, and it will get you painted minis on the table, which is really important. Wow, is that a tail? You know what? That is the tail. I did not paint that. So it's a big flat thing on the tail here. It's where they slap you. Interesting. Glad I realized that was the tail. So what I do is usually I go in and dab color to give it the mottled look, and then I will go on over it one more time once it's completely dry with a thinned out version of the paint so that it blends it in a little bit better. I want them to stand out though. I'm not looking for it to disappear, but definitely, if you're still, you know, thinking about paints, definitely don't go too crazy. Don't spend too much on anything. Buy paints for what you need. I mean, a starter set's okay, definitely. And like I said, if you're going to go for standard paints, Monument Hobbies actually has lots of, they have some basic sets, and they're not terribly expensive. They're in the $80 range, I guess, and they have sales. If you look at, if you watch Adam Smasher, he has discount codes in his streams for like 10% off of stuff from Monument Hobbies, and I recommend doing that. I actually did that when I bought, I think when I bought all of, well actually it was when I probably bought brushes. I bought some of their brushes and I really like them. And I also bought the transparent colors. I bought a lot of stuff from them. I really like, I use their agitator, glass agitator balls. These are small ones, but they're great. They're particularly great for this size of bottle because they kind of get into that little corner edge there. Inside of their other bottles, they actually have a larger glass ball. And I'm not sure, I've not finished a single bottle. I mean, paints last a long time if you're pretty good with it. There's an agitator ball in here. I believe it's going to be the larger one. When I bought these bottles here, you can't really see them. I bought these from Common Ground in Dallas. They have like 1/4-inch clear glass balls. Same company, but they have something different going on there. I mean, I don't know that they're the same manufacturer. It's the same. They're Monument Hobbies. They actually have Monument Hobbies stuff in their store, which is great. I actually meant to buy their primer, even though I don't really need any primer right now. But I wanted to try it because people are saying good things about it. And I meant to buy it at Gen Con, and I did not get to their booth. I was so busy. Okay, so let's do some spots on the head and the neck here. But I was saying earlier, I was starting to talk about, like, to me, like, they should get darker kind of on the top from being in the sun, you know, like burnt kind of, I don't know. Probably not correct. But mostly when you see lizards and stuff, they're darker on top. But you can see as they're drying, it already kind of blends in. So when I go back over it with a wash, it will make them even out a little bit more. There's a little stick, it kind of sticks out a little bit there, it's fine. Let's see here, I did it on the T-Rex, the Velociraptors. And a different color, but you can sort of see the spots there, but it blends in pretty well. Boy, I definitely have to touch that up. So now the primers that I poured out earlier are dry. That's because I didn't put them on the wet palette. This is more of a white here. Now the white's dry too. So I'll touch that up. So I need to put some white down on the toes because I wanted those, and some of the spines. Let's use the real white. Well, the other was real white too, but the primer, the standard paint, not the primer. So they have several different types of bottle tops for these Monument Hobbies ones. This is the, you know, it's a twist top like a glue bottle, which is okay, but my problem is I can't ever really get it clean, and it dries out stuff in there. You can get it pretty clean. The bottles that I had here are eyedropper type bottles. You pull this, you unscrew this lid, and then it's just a eyedropper. Here, I'll show one. That's why I bought these. I actually have not used any of them yet because I really haven't bought any paint. But, and I should just, actually I think I switched one top on one of these paints, I don't know, but you see it, the lid just comes off and then it's up here. I like this better because I can control it more, and then it's very easy to clean, and the top does a pretty good job on keeping it. I wonder which top it is. I don't see the, maybe I didn't. Maybe I imagined doing it. But it's looking pretty good. I maybe should do a little. I'm doing maybe a tiny bit of white on here to Just lighten the spines a little bit at the ends. Although, I don't know, maybe they'd be more spattered with yuck on them. I'm going to go back over it with a wash after this. Okay. So let's go over here and do some of these. Oops, I'm sorry, my head's getting in the way. I saw Chad Trasharama showed his minis today in Slack, or this weekend in Slack, that he did for Mice and Mystics, which looked really good. You know, that's like 12 minis or something like that. It's the type of thing, though. I mean, I saw Jerry Hawthorne's. He painted the, you know, he made the game, but he painted the minis, and we went to visit their offices that were used to be in Plano, I believe. They're now back in Ohio. But I just loved it. I mean, you know, it's such a, it just makes those, you know, any of these games more fun when you're just visually exciting on the table. That's why you really should paint. Because, you know, to the best of your abilities, I feel like Michael and Christina, Michael I think's painted stuff, but Christina hadn't painted minis before. And she started with the contrast paints and some standard paints. Like, she went all in right away and was very good. Like, they look really good. They're going to be great on the table. Like, it's just more fun. You know, there's people like, you know, Slay the Gray and things like that. I think that's what Ninjon says. And it's true. You really should just get rid of the, if you can, and spend a little bit of time on it. You can really make it look so much more fun on the table, especially since so many games come with minis nowadays. So I painted this brown, and I'm trying to make up for doing that by blending it a little bit to try to get it to where it looks. So this is, you know, this is the way to do this if you're going to paint standard. But I'm trying to paint this stuff quickly, and so you have to pay attention a little bit so you don't mess up like I've done here. That'll be fine. It seems a little bright, but I'll shade it down, bring it down with so you can see already that has dropped down a little bit. It's not as intense. But I think there's a great way that you can hybrid this type of stuff. You don't have to just do the contrast paints. You can actually add a little bit of traditional style painting to it as well. And they'll be visually pretty interesting. I know they have to deal with the molds on these things, so they're not quite as pronounced as I feel they should be, but They look pretty good. Run some males, okay. We'll see on there Meeple Pete. I imagine that's Pete. So I'm going to probably put a little bit more contrast medium in this paint. Well, let's see. See what this looks like. I'm probably a little too soon here on some of this stuff because it's just been painted. You do need to wait for the paint to dry up a bit before you start putting contrast paints on top. But it looks kind of cool. I don't know that it needs too much. I definitely want to bring down the spots a little bit. Now, the paints dry very quickly here, so you shouldn't judge your local situation so without experimenting a bit to see how long you have. But as you can see, mostly it's pretty dry here. Now, I can't see the eyes. They're very tiny here, but I'm going to paint them. I'm determined to paint all the eyes on these things. So, this grass, let's see if this will work. It's okay. It's one of the things I think that should be like a color then dry brushed. So let's put some green on it. Maybe a different green. Do people have good plans for the holidays here in the States for Thanksgiving? We will be doing, I don't know for sure if we're doing it here. We often do it here. We actually should be going out to buy turkey. I think we better go do that tonight. We usually get it before we go and then freeze it, and then my mom pulls it out, but comes over and pulls it out, but we will be here so we can actually truly freeze it and not worry about it. We usually, what we've done recently is we don't bother cooking a whole turkey. We do turkey breasts. Okay, that looks pretty good. So now it looks like I can come back in and I do not want to paint it on the spines, but I want to do a rinse of the darker color with, wow, I had this contrast bottle open. That's the other thing I recommend if you're going to go with any kind of, although the stuff from Army Painter is in an eyedropper bottle, so, but these, you get one of these silicone bottle holders from GW. It lets you hold 3 bottles. These paints spill so easily. I don't know if this is thin enough, actually. Let me look. Maybe. Yep. So I'm hoping that it will tie together those drops, those dots I did, a little bit more smoothly, which I want them to be dotted, but I don't want them to be so strong. trying not to get it on my I probably should have done the spines a little bit after, but that looks really cool. Not be enough red. I don't know what they've got going on there. Let me see if I can just do this. I mean, you know, it's a computer. I mean, in the movie, it's a computer rendered stuff too, but they have something going on here where it's on the close to where the spines are joined with the body. I mean, sure, they're all scales, right? Okay, I didn't paint those nails. This is actually kind of a problem. I probably should do what I've been doing, where I will try to just lighten them with the color. Because when I paint over the white, it tends to, that's too bright. Well, let's just go for it. It gets chalky, even when I wait. That looks cool though. So let me paint a little bit of white on that sphere that's a little, it's probably gonna be too white. Yes. Needs a little gray. Black. Although I actually don't mind a little bit of the color actually being on the glass because it would be reflecting that color. I just don't want it to be so strong, so maybe this will be enough. Because I'm all getting, you know, natural lighting going on here for dinosaurs. We don't have any dinosaurs to actually, or these fantastic rotating spheres. You can be much more precise than I am being here and not have to do this. The good thing is though, it will, I'm putting a little bit more white on those spines. The good thing is I feel, a lot of people are like, you can't really, you gotta be more careful with contrast paints. I feel when you put the gray on, it almost, to cover up, let's say you've got it on top of something you don't want that color on, I think it does a great job. Like, you can't necessarily see it because it is such a, I mean, obviously if you're doing it on a super smooth surface, now notice it's getting brown, even though it shouldn't be activating it. I don't think it is. I think the white has a little bit of color in it. So one of the ways you can actually avoid having a problem with it, like I'm saying, get it chalky, I could go over this with a varnish, and the varnish will protect it. I mean, I honestly feel varnishes are important, potentially for doing all of this stuff, because when you're painting something that's detailed, like if you go in here, I work kind of the opposite of a lot of people. I go inside out. I did not on this one, but I would paint the face first, then around, because for example, I definitely did it here. I know that if I mess up the face, I'm going to be disappointed. So meaning if I get stuff on it later, because it gets splotchy. So what I do is I paint that, and then I work out, and then I do the glasses and stuff like that on top of that. What you could do, so that when this isn't so tight, but over here it is kind of, you could put varnish on the face, let it dry very much, and then when you paint, if you get some on there, you can easily fix your mistake by just having a clean brush nearby that you can put in water and then just wipe it up. For example, sort of like what I did here, even though it was a different situation, I spilled a bunch of white here while airbrushing, and to solve that problem, I went back in and just hosed off the stuff with a squirt bottle to make sure that it was not messy, and it worked great because it came right off. I was very quick, but you can do something similar with a brush. And it's, that's the way to go if you can. And then that way you can protect your work and not strain too much about it. And that, so as I was saying, I could actually go back over the white and then do that so that it wouldn't break down the white, although that's looking pretty solidly strong. Now if I put a color on it maybe too soon, it might look chalky. We'll see. I really hope not, because I want that to be a brighter color. It's going to be bluish. I really don't know. I'm actually not sure about how to do the sphere, because I believe in the movie it's an entire piece of glass that this rolls around on inside. That opens up too, so I guess I don't know. It's the future. Okay, well, I'm going to let that dry. You can see the spots are blending in now. Putting that other color, a thinned out version of the color on top of it, has integrated them. Hi Lincoln, I was looking for a few videos where Aldi sells some games, but I can't find those videos anywhere. Some of them are on YouTube. Can't seem to find the GameNight Geek Show videos either, which was roundtable type format with yourself, all day knows. So those are the BGG show. Those are on YouTube, and we actually have started that back up again, but Spiel ended up being too much. We did it after Gen Con, and Spiel ended up being too much for all of us to be prepared for, so we didn't shoot one. But we will do one, maybe something after BGG Con in December, and year-end kind of a thing. But we want to get back to doing that at least once a month. So those are on a playlist on YouTube. Thanks, Joe King. And as far as the Aldi's, I know that they mostly are uploaded to YouTube. I don't think he had them go live, and I'm not sure why. If you write me at lincoln@boardgamegeek.com, I can send you links to those, which I believe they're not private, they're just unlisted. So you can, if you have a specific one, any of the ones you're specifically looking for, I'll see if they're actually transferred over to YouTube. The downer is Twitch does not keep this stuff. We've blown it, and we should save everything. I've told everybody, and I haven't even followed my own advice. Just archive, export everything to YouTube if you have a YouTube channel, and you don't even have to make them live. YouTube will just hold them, right? So you could have because Twitch does not keep them live for a long amount of time. And it's really a downer. Wow, that really looks great. I'm going to break my arm, pat myself on the back. So let's see here. Let's try the, that red may not be quite, that white might not be kind of, sucks. White is hard, man. I don't have a lot of luck with it, and people really love this white, so I'll take everybody's word for it, but I just feel it builds up so quickly and it doesn't. But yeah, on one of the streams, somebody's like, have you tried Monument Hobbies white. That is what I'm using. I'm not sure what the situation is. I don't know if it's just our dry climate. I mean, these guys are based in Arizona, so I would think that they have even more experience with it. I mean, the recommendation is to have a humidifier nearby as you're painting, and I suppose I could do that. The problem is I've got a lot of games in here, and I actually don't want things to be humid. Although I'm sure we would be safe. We have way less humidity than most. We can actually store things out in a garage, you know, or shed, and be okay. I mean, obviously, if you get a lot of rain, there's going to be some problems. Okay, I'll let that dry. Looks a little better. It looks kind of brown, but that'll be okay because it could be the color, because I have a lot of color in the. It might be just a tiny bit of brown in the water, doing that to the white. Well, I guess I could break the ground and try doing some blue here. So I think I'm going to use this blue I've been using, maybe. Nah, I don't know, man. I think it's going to look terrible. I'm going to try. I don't know the answer for this, but I will try to do a blue. I think that's too strong. Do I have a lighter blue? I do have a lighter blue. Let's try that one. It looks also like, so you can see here, this has not been shaken up. There's almost no pigment on the bottom. So I will put this on and thin it out, and then maybe blend in some of the other blues. I mean, it's messed up, so I want it to actually show the cracks in the, there's like some crack details, so it might need to be stronger to do that. But you notice that that white is looking kind of brown. I don't know if you can see it there. There we go. It's okay. Okay, well, here we go. New color. Should put an agitator ball in there. That might be too pale, but we'll see. I am going to even make it paler, so. What I really, you know, you should do is, like, if you could have the skills, is paint like you see things through the detail there, but we do like doing them. And Candace is, you should be listening to her podcast if you aren't. I don't know if she's done the second one yet. I think she did. I have not listened to it if she has, which I do need to. I've just been so busy. But she's doing a great job, and I love her stuff. And that she'll be fun on the BGG show as well. Let me really clean this brush. Board Game Sommelier. Hey, I know who that is. Hey, Alex, how you doing? I believe it's Alex. Hey, Alex, how you doing? I met Alex this weekend. That was another thing we did this weekend. We went to John D. Clare's. He had a gaming thing for just local folks, you know, that he does every 6 months. I think he did his first one while we were away in April. He said he's going to try not to tie it up at the same time as the gathering was where we were at. So I think this would be kind of silver. I think this is glass dome. That doesn't look too bad. I mean, how do you paint glass? I don't know. So I painted that strut thingy there with the some blue, but I think I'm going to change that. Oh, that's easy to do. But yeah, it was fun. We played a game that I'm dying to do on the show called The Wandering Tower. Wandering Towers. It's a Kramer Kiesling game that we played, that we bought at Spiel at the beginning of October. And we played it once and we really liked it. And so we bought it. And it's from Abacus Spielers, so it's not easy to get yet. I'm not even sure. You know, I don't think they have a U.S. partner for everything. They do, publishers license their stuff. They, for example, Rio Grande did, goodness gracious, what's that game called we talked about this weekend? Zoo. It's the Michael Schacht game that won the SDJ. That was Abacus. Oh, third podcast is out with Eric. Sweet. Okay, then Beth's is already out. I'm supposed to be on. I was talked about being episode 4, but I'd rather that they get some other people first. But I will come on one of these days and talk about something. I don't know what yet. So I think that chair is going to be black. So I will use this, and I'm not going to worry about shading because it's inside here, I guess. I'll use this paint, and I'm going to use it straight, because I'll do the chair's leather. And then I'll probably, you know what I probably should do is do a little bit of the blue, just to do it on the edge here. Might not be dark enough. It isn't. I'll let it dry and then put a darker color on. Zularetto, yeah. They are on YouTube, and I can get the links to them. We should just make that list, put it together as the list, and put them out. Scott was doing them pretty regularly. Now, but that was in place of his Games Day, his weekend Games Day thing that he does pretty regularly. So I mean, he just doesn't, you know, he can't constantly play stuff. But people are asking him to do it, so maybe he can do it as a monthly thing here when he gets some time. He's busy though. And BGG, I mean, as you heard my phone buzzing earlier, has got stuff going on, and they're always working on things. They've done some really great stuff for creators in relation to BGG automatically loading things up, sort of. It's interesting how it works, but it's been great for me. It really fixed some problems I was having, which is fantastic. It's funny, I know we're listening to different music, but this has got to be like the same. It's heard variations on this. I found some composer, performer on yeah, I don't blame you, Scott. It's, you know, it's I'm not really great at doing stuff by myself. I mean, I don't mind painting the minis. I would really love to paint with some others, though. I really like to get inspired by others, but you know, it's a challenge. You got to keep up if you want to do it. But, you know, he's got his group, and they're great. It's a bunch of really great players, so. But yeah, I found this one guy on Epidemic, which is who we license our music for streaming and stuff, and our shows on YouTube now. And it's good, and I like this guy, but I think it's many versions of the same thing going on here. So what I'm going to do here is I think I'm going to use the metallic medium that I have from, goodness, I haven't used it for a while. Where's it at? From Vallejo. And it's pretty great. And it really isn't silvery, right? I can add color to it. And I want it to be, we'll see if I can add some blue to it here and make that work. It already has some blue, so it'll show on that one maybe, but I feel I need to do a little, boy, it's taking a little time for that to dry. I don't really remember what it looks like in the movie. I've only watched the movie once, so this is kind of a pearlescent color. It's not, I don't think of it as a metallic medium, but maybe it is exactly what you get in a paint, because I think it's like mica and stuff that they use for the flecks. Boy, this stuff's thick. It's pearlescent is really what it looks like to me, but I'll go with it for now and then maybe wash it with a color on top of that so it's not too dark. You know, whenever I put like a silver on, then I put a like Nuln oil on it, it ends up for me getting too dark, so you have to go back in and, which is not a bad thing, you go back in and put some more silver on top. But I kind of want this to look like Apple Story, you know, which is sort of how that looked to me in the movie. I do need to check it out. I haven't watched those. I have not seen the new one at all. Inside the wreckage here, I think that should be dark down there, but I'll do that edge. It's interesting, the texture. I don't know if you can see it. There's a texture on these seats that's interesting. It looks kind of, I can only see it here, I guess, maybe. Okay, so I was using the black or the gray. So I'll put some more back on. I got a little bit on my bench seat here. And that's fine to make it darker. I want to make them kind of black leathery or vinyl. A little bit drain in here on the floor, like kind of like a floor mat or something. I got some on the support there, little trackball. Oops, don't want that color. It's okay. I want the silver or the metallic medium. You can see it's got like the cracks. I don't really feel like they're showing up that strong, but I can do another rinse of that blue. Is it dry? It is pretty dry. That would probably help. Huh, I might be making a mistake. It looks like there's some of the metallic medium in there. Although maybe not. I mean, there's probably some of the medium in there, but it might not be a mistake. It's not focusing in on the broken glass thing here. Now what do I do for the stone? I guess I'm going to just do some gray on the brown here. Really should be, well, I don't know, it's probably on grass. I kind of remember them riding along. So the Basilicum gray I'm using here is the one that I spilled. And I lost, I believe, some of the pigment that makes this one, that makes it a contrast paint. But it's okay for me on this type of stuff. I use it on a lot of the bases and stuff because I just don't, I'm not looking for shading and necessarily. I just wanted to settle in so it's more of just a wash. And that looks okay already. Okay, well now let's see if I can do a little bit of dark. I hear cricket. Cricket must be outside the door. That is still wet, so I could do some wet blending. I definitely need to thin it down though. I don't want to put this full-on blue on there, but I would like a little bit of the shade, so a tiny dot of it. See if that'll work. Wow, it seems like a lot of blue, so it probably will be, I'll need a lot of contrast medium to thin it out. But yeah, we went to that thing at John Clare's and John D. Clare, and it was a bunch of we saw Mike and Nick Murphy, and Paula Deming, and Monique and Naveen. It was great. It was really fun. I was saying we played Wandering Tower. We also played on what we played on the stream, which was the Mists over Carcassonne, which I really like. A cooperative version of Carcassonne that's pretty slick. And then, wow, that cricket is right here. So that was fun. We had a good time. We had hoped to be able to make it before, but we've known John for 9 years. We met him at Tokyo, no, not Tokyo, the New York Toy Fair. Nikki was working for Queen. That was the beginning of her working with Queen. And there was a filmmaker that was trying to follow a designer, and John was an up-and-coming designer who he had released a game. He actually gave us one of those games at New York Toy Fair. But they were gonna, Nikki was talking to him about one of his designs. Actually might have been, I can't remember, because John showed us something else a few years later, I think, that was a big deal game, which you guys know. I won't mention it. But the one thing that he was looking at that Nikki was looking at was impressive, but Nikki was just nervous because, you know, it was her first time like meeting with inventors, as they call it. And the filmmaker was definitely, you know, pushing to do the stuff, and so they didn't end up going that route. That film that guy was working on actually came out, which was an interesting film as well, you know, interesting idea as well. But it was cool. Okay, that looks pretty good. I'm painting the Ankylosaurus from Jurassic World. This is one of the minis that we unlocked in Jurassic World Legacy, the Legacy of Isla Nublar. It looks cool. It's getting close. I need to do the base. So I will paint. The red is ready to. The white is ready to go for the red. So let's try that. Mega Speed paints from Army Painter 9. Yeah, those are pretty good. That's about, oh, 75 is not bad. That's not a bad deal. They have them. They weren't available on Amazon when I was looking, and the store near me, now I haven't been to that store for a few months. I need to go. They open it, I think they open at noon, and we're always over in that area before noon, but we've gone a couple of times and they've been open early, so I need to go over there and see. Because I would like to get, at least get a few more bottles and stuff to try. I originally really wanted the red, and the one that, when I was looking at the stuff, that I ordered one from Miniature Market, they didn't have the red. And now I think there's a strong red with GW, so it's not real critical. But you can see here, look at the red just leaking through. I mean, it's just the way these work. They seem to do an okay job of protecting it, but I don't know. I kind of want to go to the dropper bottles, but I don't know. After having the troubles with the primers, I'm not so sure I want to do it. So we had Halloween in our area, of course, last night, and we never have anybody come by. We used to, especially when our friends had kids, younger kids, and they would come. But we just don't even decorate anymore for it. I mean, you know, Nikki loves Halloween stuff, but I was surprised because we had plenty of time to actually decorate, but she didn't want to put the effort in for whatever reason. And because nobody was coming over, that was the real issue. She didn't want to do it just for us. But after we, what did I do yesterday? That we filmed. After we filmed, we went and just had Taco Bell, and went through the neighborhood. And oh my gosh, there's so many kids in the neighborhood trick or treating. It's just our neighborhood has no street lights on this street specifically, or sidewalk. So they don't come down here. I don't blame them. But we were thinking, you know, it's like, is there many kids in this neighborhood? But there were lots of great costumes. We had to be very careful because it's no street lights over there either. But they do have sidewalk. Just didn't want to hit anybody. But yeah, it was kind of an eye-opener because we weren't sure that there were kids, and there were none on our street, and we were a block away. Okay, it's pretty red. We'll let it dry. It may need a little bit of a touch-up. To me, I hear these things in the music. I hear weird little transitions. I don't know if you guys can hear them, but they're funny to me because it's like, what is it doing? It should be it's meant to do exactly what I'm doing with it, and it doesn't seem to do a very good job. Okay, let's close that paint up. So I'm going to do the brown. The ground looks okay. I might put a little bit of a brown wash over it, over the dirt parts. Or green, I don't know, I have to think about it. I almost feel like I should have thinned it out. It's a little dark. But I want to put some color in there anyway. I don't think you can see it. There you go. So I paint the edge of this like it's a wood. I'll do the top part first. That, I believe I used the straight Gorgonita fir. And I'm treating it kind of like a mahogany or something. I did not paint gloss, which I should have, you know, like the mahogany, you know, like on a ship where you use, I think, spar varnish or something like that. But it seems like there's stuff sticking to the minis. I have like 6 or 8 hours on this mix, and I feel like I'm hearing stuff we've heard already. I don't believe it's random either. I don't think you can actually randomize it. I wish you could, because then it would go further down the list. I should spend some time. I just haven't had any time, but I should spend some time listening to it and picking the songs. Wow, that cricket is quite close. I moved all your contrast to droppers. Yeah, I should do it. I have a lot of dropper bottles, at least 50. Well, probably not 50 now, but I've used a few of them. But I saw some of your painted minis, Scott. They look great. I do really like using the contrast, though. They're fun. I mean, I've definitely heard this song. I need to go through this. That's dry brushed on there. It looks kind of good. Looks interesting. The cricket is the percussion, is the background music. Yeah, no kidding. It was you, Scott. Kippen. Scott hasn't been painting for a little while. I want him to paint. We had fun. I mean, you know, it was during the pandemic. We were painting together on streams. I really liked it. I miss painting with my friends. I don't know if I have any friends in the neighborhood now in the area that would be interested in painting minis. I mean, I've tried to get Nikki, and she actually kind of likes doing it, but she's got her own hobbies right now. She's working on a lot of crochet projects. She has Christmas gifts. Oop, I just got it over into the red. She's got some Christmas gifts that she's doing for her dad and other folks, and that's just taking all her time. Because she actually has minis. I mean, she's got some cool stuff. I bought her a Get Started box for the goodness gracious, what they're called. They're probably right here. I see them. She's got the black coach, Night Hot black coach. No, that's not. Oh, that is it. I don't know what they're called. They have a different name than what I thought they should be. But they look cool. I don't even know if they're still making them. Yeah, I did some Discord hangouts to paint. We did with cameras too. At least the cricket sounds mellow. I mean, he's a little fast, but usually they're just like, he's probably getting close to death. It's cool, getting cold. Oh, we have cricket problems in the. I'm sorry, I'm not on camera. We have cricket problems in the neighborhood, but we have a pest guy come around that's been coming around forever, and they have like supposedly have these more environmentally friendly pesticides that we've had them go on with the crickets, and it's really helped. The neighbors, when they were working on their house, they supposedly had a bunch of crickets inside the house. I don't know what crickets eat, which I think they eat anything, but don't know what would draw them in the house. We occasionally get one inside, but we don't have cats anymore. But when we did, they wouldn't eat the crickets. They would just, I mean, we have my mom's cat who's visiting with us right now would eat the crickets, but our cats would just play with them. Man, it's not focusing in here. What's going on? There we go. We actually ran into one of our neighbors who we've only ever seen once or twice at John's. He's like, I keep looking for you guys. That was funny. Yeah, we go when we go on walks in the neighborhood. He was out walking his dog. He's like, you guys live here? For a long time. Okay. That looks pretty good. So this is getting near done. So I don't feel that these look dark enough on the bottom edge here. So maybe, let me try blending. I'm being silly, but I will try to blend a little bit of the contrast mediumed. Do not put that brush in there. I usually actually get the paint out of the bottle with the back end of the brush. So, and it's easy to clean, and I don't have to worry about it like being too messy. I think I saw your stuff, Scott, on They Eat Shoots and Leaves. Don't think I have the brown done there. Thought I did. It's the same color, but I will clean it. Oh, you know what? I paint that black, don't I? Let me look at that. I do. I'm getting carried away on the brown. Okay, so I will paint that black now. That I use a tiny brush for, to do this detail on here. Not great, but it's better than... I mean, if you have a good brush, it's fine. My problem is that if I use the larger brushes, it's too much paint. I can't... I'm not really good at controlling how much paint is on the brush in that regard. So I use a smaller one. I need the black, which is over here. It's just so much paint. Can never really control how much comes out. Only with the eyedropper bottles, because they have really small opening. I think this is the tail. Ugh. Let me try and brush mess here. Brush mess. Okay. If you move fast, you can often repair your damage. I think I'm gonna mess it up again. Put this back on the base now. Can probably do a better job of this on the base holder, the mini holder. Thanks. Yeah, we've been having fun with it. I'm actually sad that we'll be done this Thursday. I don't really want to spoil any more. For folks that are hoping to play it. I think the game's pretty good. There are, the puzzles. You basically, I feel you need to have them go around other players so that you can deal with them. We still kind of solve them as a group, but we've now unlocked well, the new one is not really that much of a puzzle. It's more of, gosh, what was happening in that one? That's the, oh, it's like no, I don't know what it is. It was a new board. but it didn't feel as puzzly. I don't recall. I'll find out on Thursday. It's only last Tuesday. I have to pick my mom at the airport today. It's always funny how we end up traveling a whole bunch of things. We got to go to the airport all these different times during whenever we travel. So mom comes home today, then we travel on Friday. It is the last trip. Well, theoretically, the last trip for the year. Hopefully that is the case. Put it in the holder and didn't get it in the right position to actually do what I'm trying to do right here. You still have to watch 4th episode, though. That's where we unlocked the other building. Well, not, you know, it's in Adventure 4. You just, it's a new piece that you have to deal with. And I really wish I could remember what it was. I didn't deal with it, I don't think, at all. Oh, I remember what it is. No, that's the we actually primed the electrical grid stuff in the last one, so that was the first time we'd had that in there, but we'd never ran into issues with the power. But the power did go out. We couldn't finish because that one you're flipping. You unlock, you put them in the, you prime them, get the tokens in the pool, and then you flip them and try to get power symbols and not. I guess the hazards or something. I can't remember exactly what they were. I don't know what I still don't know what the other one is. I'm looking forward to seeing, it's coming out while we're gone, but I'm looking forward to seeing Wakanda Forever. I hope that that's cool. I did enjoy the last one. As a matter of fact, I think we took Scott to see that. Ugh, still wet there. I did mistake with water. But yeah, I think we took him to see the Chinese. We like to go down there because they often have them in 3D, but that one was not in 3D. But that was fun. Nice theater. Yep. And that was the same day across the street. Mark Hamill was getting his star on Hollywood Boulevard, which we should have gone over and checked it out, but we had to get into the movie. I think by the time we got out of the movie, it was over. But we went over and looked at the star, and it was there. But if had I known, I might have gone to see that and then seen the movie. But I don't pay attention to anything that happens down there. It's usually too crazy. We've made mistakes going down there for stuff during busy stuff. Across the street from that is Jimmy Kimmel Live, and we went to see McCartney when he was on the show. Then they played out on Hollywood Boulevard, played a show out there, and that was fun. But you know, could you imagine trying to go down there and do anything else during that time frame? Thankfully, we weren't. Yeah, that looks pretty good. It's a weird fossil thingy, so it doesn't look that interesting there. Okay. So I will do the wash. Let me try to see. I got a little bit of brown on that, but that'll be okay. That went up into the freeze there, a couple of places. But I will put on. I'm going to use the strong tone, which will leave some stuff on the edge there. Probably conceal that. I actually do like the colors kind of blending into each other, although it's not really doing it here on the ball, but I can probably put a little bit more dark. What's it rubbing up against? So, you just do a little bit of blue while I'm at it. Okay. And I still want to put some ink inside on some of that metal. Probably use the Nuln oil for that. You're not really supposed to shake these too much. I think I might have shook it a little too much. I think you really do, you just don't want foam. But you do need to shake it. It's probably not enough. So this I did dry brush earlier after painting it. I definitely don't have enough color here on the palette. So this is, you know, it isn't as extreme relief as the other one, as the one with the fossil, dinosaur fossils. So it's not quite as prominent, so it always looks a little washed, because this one is definitely more primed more like that, and it just isn't too strong. But you can see where it's not really going to be a problem where my brown from the surround on here of the freeze is an issue. I just stuck my finger in on the other side. If I wanted to let it dry. I think I'm going to do a green on the ground, just to be a dark green, because I don't want it, there's so much brown. It's going to look strange. And green will be good. So that looks pretty good here. Oops, out of the shot. Got some funky music playing here. That looks pretty good though. It's definitely a little stronger than this one. Oh, this looks good too since I've redone it. Okay. Some sort of a green. I don't want to use this one. I want to use a more green. Militarum green will probably be it. Let's see how that looks. This one has a lot of pigment. I don't know if I have an agitator in there or not. I'll know quickly because you'll see little swirls on the bottom. Sounds like there might be an agitator in there. Oh, I didn't paint his eyes yet either. Her eyes. I haven't painted her eyes yet. Wow, look at that. It's like coming through. But you definitely have to shake these contrast paints a lot before you use them. And I'm pretty certain you'd probably have to do the same thing with the We'll Be Sad watching. Yeah, agreed. I really liked Chadwick. Goodness gracious. Boseman? Chadwick Boseman. There we go. He was great. He was great in that movie. Or those movies, because he was also in the... yeah, it looks like I got some metallic on his tail. Bad deal. He was in 42. That was the first thing I ever saw him in. He was great in that, playing Jackie Robinson. I am happy that this isn't a Carnosaur because the Carnosaurs have a lot of teeth. So, and that's a little slow. The T-Rex had the largest teeth, so she wasn't too bad. Wow, this is taking forever. I do hear some recommend putting 2 into the 2 agitators. I probably should. Wow, see, look at, it's not really, there's still a lot of pigment in there, not coming up. Now, I noticed that usually it gets to the point where it, and this isn't that old. I actually bought this one because this is the green I didn't have. So I bought that in the last 4 or 5 months. But the pigment does not come off very easily of the bottom. Definitely it's got it in there. Well, let's keep stirring. Could you imagine doing this with your arm? Just shaking it? There's a moth in here or something. Hey, it's getting there, but you can see that is the ball spinning around in there. So it probably gets to be a pretty thick paste of that pigment at the bottom, and it just takes a lot of work to get it out. I should put like little tufts of the grass on there. I could try it. I've used static grass, which I believe I have a couple bags of that type of stuff. But I have these GW ones here that I got in a basing box set that they had. So it had a couple paints, you know, like technical paints, not standard paints, and like snow and mud maybe or something like that, and maybe blood too. I think they had a real dripping blood kind of a thing, and then a bunch of skulls. Hey, look at that. It mixed it up. So I'm going to put some on the palette, but I will get it thinned out because I don't want it to be too intense. But that's dark. I mean, it's a military green. Actually, I saw a 3D printed, I actually think I downloaded it on Thingiverse, that you can use you mount the bottle inside of it and then let it drip into the dropper bottles, which is a great idea because, goodness, it takes forever to drain out the pigment. The paint is very, you know, sticky. 12 Years a Slave. I think that was Chiwetel Ejiofor. There you go. Somebody else said that. Yeah, Scott did. Who was Mordo in Doctor Strange. Thought he was great. So I'm just putting this green on here. It'll change it up. It's something different than most of the other minis. I think for the Brachiosaurus I painted it black because, you know, that was just the neck, so it's a long way down to the ground. But yeah, green looks good against the brown, of course. Oops, I'm off camera. So maybe the Ankylosaurus broke up this ball. I don't remember. Cannot recall. I mean, you know, it doesn't, even though it's a herbivore, it doesn't mean it wouldn't be like aggressive or something like that. You know, they're not. They were saying that the Brachiosaurus was a cow. Okay, well that looks good. That's a little better than just gray. And then the last bit that I want to do today is some ink on the, so I have the Nuln Oil, right? Yes, I do. This is the new version that GW sent me. Doesn't need a lot of shaking, but it is pretty good. I feel it's a little less intense than the other one that my last bottle. I need to get some of the gloss. Actually, you need some of the gloss versions of this stuff for some of the metallics and things like that, but I don't have any. So and I think the shades have been fine. I have used them, most of the colors now so far, the newer ones, and I think they're good. I don't think you have to, I mean, it would be rad to have the bigger bottles of the older colors, but it's not essential, right? You know, I saw one of them and bought it when I was out. Something buzzed on me there. BGG just broke? Uh-oh. I don't know what that means. Oh, I guess Scott's working. Something's up with BGG, so don't go there. So I'm just putting a little bit of Nuln Oil. It makes it actually look more silver, that pigment, or the metallic medium. That looks cool. Plus I had some blue in there intentionally, so. But yeah, people tease about using washes and stuff like that as far as that it's cheating. But you know, contrast paints are like the next evolution of that, and I do not feel it's cheating. I think it's whatever you can to get your stuff going, and all it does is it makes you more interested in maybe just improve your skills, and you want to try other things. I mean, for example, wet blending, and I think you can actually do a pretty decent little job of wet blending with these paints as they are, the contrast paints. And you know, what the heck, it gets you started, gets you into the hobby. You know, and then you see, one of the things I like to watch other videos just to see what folks are doing, so I can learn some of the techniques and just improve my game. I'm a decent painter. I'm not great at wet blending. It's the one thing I would like to know how to do better. I've done okay with it, but part of the issue is, I mean, what I've done in recent years, I actually use something called retarder. That's this here. For standard acrylic paints, this slows down the drying time. So it will let you do the blending. You know, it says increase the working time of acrylic paints. It's exactly what it does. I also use Flow Improver. This is an old bottle of Flow Improver. I have several. Look, $2.05 from Aaron Brothers. It don't even exist here in LA anymore. You know, it's like once you start to, you kind of have an itch to do some of the other stuff, you know, to try other techniques. So let's see here. I think this is a shade. It is a shade. Wow. I wonder what that will look like. Do I have another blue shade though? Drakenhof shade. That looks like a brown. I'm afraid to use, I mean, these are all a bunch of new inks essentially that I got from GW, these shades. I can try a little bit. I'm afraid. I just want to put a little bit on that edge. I feel it's too strong. Okay, here we go. That might be okay. I don't know if you can see it there. Yeah, you know what? Looks okay, and it's going to pop that stuff out a little bit. So let's just try it and see how it goes. But shades and glazes and things like that help you tie together colors like different when you're wet, so you can do blending without having to do wet blending. If you do something like a base color and then a highlight color and then you blend them wet blending, that's one way to do it obviously, but you can also just get them close and then use a shade over it. Or you can do something like where if you get good at airbrushing, you can graduate between the two colors with an airbrush, and it gives you like because it's a very strong shade highlight and then a dark base color, and then you blend them together with an airbrush, which is like a really great way to do stuff like that. I'm okay at that. I've done plenty of airbrush painting. Like that was where I got an airbrush, was to do paintings in school. And doesn't look like it has enough Nolan oil there right there, but the blue looks kind of cool. And you know, it's building up a little bit here on the I think these are actually two pieces of the model, so you do want them to be a little bit into the colors into each other, because in nature that's what's going to happen. Anyway, that looks pretty cool. Awesome. Okay. Well, there you go. Maybe I'll dry brush a little bit of stuff here. We'll see. But it looks pretty cool. It's out of focus. It looks pretty cool. The wash looks nice on it, actually. Shows you more of the fractures in the glass. The ink on the silver really actually makes it look like a standard silver. Probably, I mean, it is shaded a little bit because of the ink, but it looks a little bit like the chainmail, the Games Workshop chainmail. The dinosaur looks great, though. I think that looks, I think, you know, I didn't do the eye. I'll do that a little bit later, the eyes. But it's kind of my favorite one just because there's so much shading going on from the edge of these spikes. Very cool. Well, let me switch over to the other camera. I think hey, I got something poking up here. Okay, there we go. I need to clean up. I need to have something to eat. I have not had any meal today. But, so we'll be streaming on Thursday at 5:30 Pacific PDT in the evening, and it will probably be getting dark here. And then that will be our last stream until we return. Probably, once again, I think we'll be going on a Thursday because we return on a Tuesday. And then I'll probably paint stream you know, I want to keep working on the GW stuff. And maybe if I unlock some of these other dinosaurs in play, we might do them. But we're not going to do them on the show. It would be, I know people, we did last season, we did that whole initiative stream, which was great. We had a really great time. Everybody was having so much fun. And, you know, I reached out to the publisher and the designer about it, and they were like, no, okay, it's great, we love it. You know, I don't love spoiling, I mean, because I don't like to be spoiled about the stuff that comes out, so I don't think we'll continue. Maybe just have Candace. I mean, it's fun. Candace is working for BG full time, and we need to do other things, so maybe we can slot in little stuff, but we can maybe tell you about it. But I really don't want to spoil it. Everybody have a great week. Hopefully we can see you on Thursday. Let me see if we can raid. Let's see how professional I am here. I'm not. I will tell you that right now. I am not on the control panel. Well, you know, that's one reason why I have sound. If you get on the... wow, how do you do it? Well, I'm back into it. Let's see here. There we go, creator dashboard. Let me see here. It's Rado. I'm always late. Darn it. They're already in the live part, or the recorded part, but we're going to join Rado. If you guys want to stick around and click and continue on to that raid, I'm sure they're talking about some new releases and stuff like that. It would be great if you guys stick around for that. Where are my regular glasses? Here they are. I want to be able to see things. I will see you all on Thursday, hopefully, and definitely, hopefully, we will be streaming before Thanksgiving, and then hopefully we see everybody then. You guys take care. Let's see how this goes. We're going to start the raid. I have to like pay attention to this. We got 5 people, 15, 21. Fantastic. That's pretty cool. Okay, everybody, take care. Say hello to Ruel and Rado for me. Bye, everybody.